Hello there, ninth graders from the Hive School. This is teacher Krishna, and thank you for coming to our second online lesson. I know this is a totally different format, but because of the actual situation that we have in the country, it's necessary to stay at home. So thank you for doing a great effort and being here with me today. And of course, be welcome to our science class for week 11. We have lesson 4, chromosomes and inheritance. It's an extremely interesting topic that I'm sure you will love learning about today. So let's continue. Before we start, I have some general directions for you. You have to get your physical or digital book, enter to the Google Classroom, download the Word document from a form, the Google Classroom, save it inside a science folder, and name it in the following way. Code, name, grade, and section. Huge observation for everyone. A lot of students did not have the correct format in the documents that you uploaded last week. So make sure to pay attention to all of these observations. There is an example in the image. Write down your code, for example, number 6. Write down your name, Krishna Ochoa, and lastly, write down your grade and section, AA. So with that being said, let's continue. So as we move, remember to take notes on the Word document. That's something very important that you do not have to forget about, because that is going to help you out a lot to learn the things we're going to be discussing today. And of course, that is going to help you out to have a summary in case you need to double check or study this topic. Right, so lesson 4, chromosomes and inheritance. And we have to begin with the end in mind. So for this week we have describes how traits are passed from human parents to their offsprings, including the terms gene, chromosome, and meiosis. So this is the first thing that you need to write on your document, our end in mind. So make sure to copy it. If you need extra time, you can pause the video and come back later. Alright, so we have our first big question. How are chromosomes, genes, and inheritance related? So Mendel proved that genes existed. Remember that Mendel experimented with peas, and he had peas with 2 different colors, and when he mixed them, he noticed that the color was changing. So he defined that as genes. Right? We have something related to Walter Sidon, an American geneticist. He wanted to know how sex cells form, and he focused on how chromosomes moved within cells during the formation of sperm and eggs. So before we continue, we have to define what are sex cells. Specifically, there are 2 kinds of sex cells. We have sperm and we have eggs. So sperms are produced by male organisms and eggs are produced by female organisms. And he was studying how chromosomes were forming inside sperms and inside eggs. And he discovered that sex cells had half of the chromosomes of the body cells in grasshoppers. Well, he was studying grasshoppers, and he was analyzing two different cells. He was analyzing the cells that we will find in the rest of the body of grasshoppers, and he was analyzing the sex cells, which will be their sperms and eggs. And he noticed that the number of chromosomes were different. So there were only half of them inside the sex cells than in the rest of their bodies. So here we have an observation. A sperm and an egg have both 12 chromosomes. When they join, the product or final cell has 24 chromosomes. That's what I was telling you about. So in grasshoppers, sex cells only have 12 chromosomes, and when they both join, then the final cell has 24 chromosomes. So, Sutton theorized that genes passed from parents to their offsprings on chromosomes. And how was he theorizing that? So just like you can notice in sperm, in eggs, there are only half of the chromosomes an organism needs to have in the rest of their body cells. So he was theorizing that the information from the father and the mother was given to the other generation by the combination of both of their sex cells. And we have a picture of a grasshopper that he was just studying. All right, we have humans' sex cells have 23 chromosomes each. Body cells have 46 chromosomes in total. So we have to make a difference here. Remember that in grasshoppers' sex cells, the numbers were different. So they had less chromosomes than a person. All right, so continuing with that, we can say that in the sperms and eggs of humans, we are going to find only 23 chromosomes. But if we take, for example, a cell from your skin, there will be a total of 46 chromosomes. And here we have two very important concepts. We have homozygous and heterozygous. So homozygous means that the organism has the same pair of genes. You can take a look at the picture that we have right below. And in the example that we have on the left, we have homozygous because the combination of genes are exactly the same. We have capital B and capital B. Just like the example that we have on the right, we have another homozygous example there, in which both lowercase b's are put together. But now, what happens with the other one? What happens with the heterozygous? It means that the pairs of genes are different. You can notice that examples in the picture one more time, and you can notice that now one capital B is put together with a lowercase b. So that's exactly what happens. They recombine with different genes. Moving on. Now, this is a process that we have to analyze, the meiosis process. And once you look at it, probably some memories start coming to your mind because this process looks very similar to another process we studied in class, which was the process of mitosis. So, pretty much the steps are the same, but with some slight differences. Just like you can notice here, we have meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Let's analyze how everything is happening. We have our interphase before we start with everything. And then with our meiosis, we have prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1. Right, now what happens in the meiosis 2? We have prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, and telophase 2. So, as you can notice, the process pretty much repeats itself twice. While in the mitosis process, it only repeats once. All right, and I want you to take a look at the cell we have right at the top of the image. And I want you to see the number of cells that we have right at the end. So we start with one cell, and after all of this process, we end up with 4 different cells. That is another difference. In the mitosis process, we just have one cell. And after the mitosis process, we end up with 2 identical cells. But now here in the meiosis, we start with one cell and we end up with 4 different cells. They are not identical as in the mitosis process. They are different. But now, how are they different? I want you to take a look at the DNA information, at the chromosomes, at the nucleus as well, because there is where we are going to find the difference. So if we start right at top, interphase, we have our nucleus, which is in purple. Then in the prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. And you can notice that the chromosomes are divided, all right? But here is something very important. At the end, when we have our telophase 1, then these two cells have only half of the genetical information that the original cell had. All right. So now we continue one more time with the prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. And as you can notice in the result, the genetical information inside the nucleus is different. Now, there are not chromosomes, they don't have the X formation, but now they only have half of the information. So exactly the same thing happens from telophase 1 to telophase 2. Now, one more time, the 4 resulting cells have only half of the information that the cells in telophase 1 had. All right. So that is pretty much some general information about the meiosis and 1 and meiosis 2. And of course, its comparison to the mitosis process. Now let's jump with our evaluation for this week. Read pages 92 to 97 and complete the summary and complement the summary that you already have. Compare the process of mitosis and meiosis, add similarities and differences. I already gave you many similarities and many differences in the previous part, but of course you can complement that with the information you have from your book. And lastly, upload the Word document with your summary and images to Google Classroom. What is the rubric I will use to evaluate your work today? Format 2 points, meaningful content 2 points, grammar 2 points, images 2 points, order 1 point, and deliver on time 1 point. Alright guys, so that was the class for today. Thank you for coming one more time. And I really hope that you are safe at home. Remember, if it's not extremely necessary to go out, please stay home. It's for your own safety and it's for everyone's health. So I hope you're doing well one more time. Thank you for coming and I will see you next week. Goodbye.